For years, Salt Lake City and the Downtown Alliance have been working closely together to improve, promote, and activate our capital city. This work has included addressing complicated issues that we face here in our city. One of those issues is panhandling. Today we are here to unveil a new public education campaign we hope will catch the eye of residents and visitors and remind them of the negative impact panhandling has on our community. More importantly, we hope this campaign reminds everyone of the incredible opportunity we have to make lasting change, but only if we give our change to service providers and not to panhandlers. Panhandling is a business. It is driven by supply and demand, and the money collected does not improve lives, it damages them. The generosity of Utahns is something we are very proud of, but this generosity should not allow us to ignore what we know to be true. Money given to panhandlers is not for food. It's not for a bus ticket, and it's not to help a child. On any given day in Salt Lake City, those truly in need of food and other resources, whether it's a hot meal or groceries, have a half dozen opportunities to eat, including at St. Vinny's, the Salt Lake Mission, the VOA, and others. Those truly in need of transportation and services to reconnect with families or work can get that help from our Community Connection Center or at the Wiegand Center. Those truly in need of medical care can find help at the 4th Street Clinic. Salt Lake City is a place of hope, and we never want that to change. That is who we are. In order to preserve this legacy, each of us must commit to do our part to support those who truly need help and are in need. I want to thank the Downtown Alliance for once again spearheading an initiative to create change. Thank you to the donors who have already pledged money to kick off this campaign. I am sure there are more to come, including the local TV stations who have been asked to air the PSA spots. We hope that you will join us. And thank you to the team at Love Communications for providing the creativity. Tom Love and his team, frankly, the market insight that comes with this organization, which convinced us to create a very bold campaign I believe will be successful. Panhandlers are successful if they stop you in their tracks. And this campaign is designed to stop you in your tracks. I'm excited to welcome Speaker Greg Hughes, who has taken this on at the state level and is helping this city and other communities across the state of Utah deal with this very issue. After Speaker Hughes, you will hear from Jason Mathis of the Downtown Alliance, and you will also hear from Pamela Atkinson, who is doing God's work in our city and knows firsthand what hurts and what helps when we give. Mr. Speaker?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the city. I want to thank the media for being here. One of the things that I think will be a big game changer in the enormity of what's going on with our homelessness issue, and more particularly the lawlessness that's happening in our capital city, is public awareness. I think if people understand what's really going on, I think that the public will support efforts and some of the hard work that has to be done to get a handle on this and to really see the lawlessness be brought back under control. I want to make a distinction, and I need the media's help in doing this. There's a difference between homelessness and lawlessness. And you may have some people that are homeless that are breaking the law. But what's feeding the crisis and what's making people in the worst of circumstances fall lower and their situation become worse are the predators and is the lawlessness. So I want to emphasize that panhandling aids and abets lawlessness. It is the industry that we have, the drug industry that we have, that is thriving on some of Utah's most vulnerable people who need our help. They don't need drug dealers. They don't need people offering them ways to self-medicate and to forget their problems at every single turn. This is a multi-front attack, and this is one part of it. We have a good representative that passed a bill last year, and I want everyone to know it, and I want every city and every jurisdiction to understand. And we have sign-off from ACLU and everyone else. You can't financially transact in our intersections any longer. They weren't built for it. They're not meant for it. You're not to stop your brakes and hand someone money out the window if the light's green and you're trying to go. Accidents are occurring. These intersections are not places of commerce. And we now have laws on the books that prohibit that from occurring. So when you see that, understand that that is no longer the law of the land in the state of Utah. That panhandling has a solution, and it's up to us to be aware of it and to enforce the laws that we pass. So thank you so much for being here. And again, I just want to emphasize, I think that Utah cares. We want to give a hand up. We want people to get to self-reliance. We have people that are actively working against that. And panhandling is what, in many cases, in fact, most cases, they're using to keep these people from getting the help that they desperately need. Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank Mayor Biskupski, Speaker Hughes, and Pamela Atkinson, Salt Lake's patron saint of homelessness. I also wanted to thank Camille Winnie on our staff. Camille has helped to lead the Green Team, which is homeless women who are doing gardening to help change their lives. The Clean Team, where we hire homeless people to help clean up around the shelter. She's helped to provide additional space at the Wiegand Center, and she helped us spearhead this campaign. And she is often an unsung hero, but I wanted to thank Camille for her. She is no one is more tenacious than Tenacious C in terms of thinking about these issues and working on it. I want you to just take a moment and imagine yourself in this situation. You wake up in the morning and the first thing you think about is where you're going to go to get your next hit of drugs. And that consumes your thought. That is all that you can focus on. So you go out, you ask people for money, and as soon as you get $20, you go out to your dealer, you buy some drugs, you get high for a little while, and then immediately you start that process over, thinking about where am I going to go, how am I going to get high, and that consumes your day, every day, all day long. That is no way to live. That is no way for anyone in our community to live. And I know sometimes when people give money to panhandlers, they think they're helping. They're helping a fellow human being. They're helping someone out. And I will say that there probably are some panhandlers who truly do need help and who may use it for what they say they're going to use it for. But they are few and far between, and it is so hard to know who is actually using it for what they need and who is actually using it to enable self-destructive behaviors. If you give money to someone and it contributes to their illness, to their addiction, you're not helping them, and you're certainly not helping our community. This campaign is in your face and it's aggressive. That is intentional. We want to get people's attention and let them know about the direct link between giving money to panhandlers and encouraging drug trafficking in our community. Right now, the Downtown Alliance is investing $25,000 in this campaign, mostly in outdoor advertising. Today, 4 billboards will go up throughout the community. One on 900 South and Main Street, between Main and State. One on 400 South and 200 West. One on 200 South and State Street, right here by the Carl's Jr. And one on Beck Street, entering our downtown. This is money that we have raised through private contributions, and we are asking for additional contributions. The money we've raised have come from businesses and individuals who are concerned about this issue, but we can do more, and we think that as this campaign launches, more people will want to contribute. This is not just a downtown issue, and I'm so grateful to Speaker Hughes for the interest that he has in here and the commitment that he has in helping to solve this on a state level. If you go across the Wasatch Front, you will see people panhandling, asking for money at every intersection, in every community. I'll wait for the tracks train to go by. So this isn't just a downtown issue, this isn't just a Salt Lake City issue, this is a regional issue. And so we're encouraging communities all across the Wasatch Front to join us in this campaign. If you would like the artwork for the billboards, if you would like to air the spots that we have 2 15-second PSAs that we'll provide to you after this media event. If you want to help us get the word out, that is what we need. We need to make sure people understand the impulse that you have to give is the right thing to do, but you should give in the right way. This is just one of the things that we need to do, among many others, to build a stronger and safer community. We need additional support for mental health treatment, affordable housing, substance abuse counseling. Political leaders at every level of government are answering this call with resources and ideas. And I want to say thank you to those political leaders for what you have done, sincerely. Now we just ask you to do even more, because it's going to take a concerted and sustained effort. We are committed to continuing to innovate and collaborate with political leaders, community advocates, law enforcement, the business community, and homeless people themselves to help address this issue. Thank you.
I apologize that I was late in holding you all up. I'm sorry, I was actually trying to help someone. So, years ago, we used to talk about homelessness and say homeless people, homeless family, homeless lady, homeless man, and then it suddenly became a noun, and we say the homeless. I need to remind everybody that people are not nouns, they're human beings. And so people that we see around are experiencing homelessness, and they're experiencing it in a completely different way from maybe the individual standing next to them. But we need to differentiate from those who are really experiencing homelessness from a multiplicity of problems to those who are talking about being homeless but are panhandling for money to feed their habit, whether it be drugs or alcohol. Now, if I go up and talk to a panhandler, I can usually tell from their eyes and the marks on their arms and what they're using and how they've been using it, and from their speech and behavior. But for the regular public, it's not easy to differentiate. But we do know that when you give money for whatever reason to a panhandler, you're enabling them to be an addict or an alcoholic for one more day at that rate. Let me tell you, one of my friends told me that a panhandler walked into his bank with $268, and that was his day's pay. And I talked to that panhandler later, and he told me that in another bank he'd saved up from panhandling $20,000, all from panhandling. He says, I use a little to pay my rent, but I'm saving up to move to the other side of the country. And I said, rather than panhandling, I'll put you on a bus to get there. Well, he wasn't ready to do that yet. But when panhandlers are begging for money and saying, I'm hungry, it doesn't matter what you try to give them, whether it's a gift certificate for food, they just want the money. It is much better to say, no, shake your head and move on. Now, a number of people are sending money into the HOST program, the Homeless Outreach Services program that the police have been running. And people are sending in $10, $2, $5, $15. And somebody sent me $20 the other day, and they're sending it in through PayPal, and they're saying, I want to make a difference. I want to give hope to somebody. Give this money to somebody that's going to be able to help one of our homeless friends. And so the money has been coming in little by little, and next week we'll be able to give some of the agencies some money from the Pamela Atkinson Foundation that collects all this money that people give in the red meters, that people give to Zion's Bank for the foundation, and that people give through PayPal, and just do it on the phone. But that money is going directly, this next check, to help homeless youth get off drugs, to help homeless youth get education, get job training, and get jobs. You see, even $5 when put alongside other $5 and $1 or $2 is going to make a difference in our homeless friend's life. So let's just say to the panhandlers, no, and move on. And let's decide where we're going to give the money instead. You can give it to the host program or to any of the agencies that do an incredible job of serving our homeless friends who really do have some need. So please, media, do your fantastic job. Inform, educate, and then advocate the IEA for no more panhandling in Salt Lake City. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Keith, I think the important point is that's a drop in the bucket to the amount of money that most homeless service providers are receiving. And that's one mechanism to make contribution, but you can volunteer time, you can volunteer directly with the organizations, you can give money directly to the organizations. I think from our perspective, it doesn't matter how you want to give, as long as you're giving, but we want to make sure that people are giving in a strategic and thoughtful and systematic way. No one ever panhandled their way out of homelessness. People have moved out of homelessness and do every single day because they have a support system, and these homeless service providers are the ones providing that help to move them out of homelessness. So there's a good way to help people who are homeless, but it's not through giving cash to a panhandler. It's through providing money to homeless service providers who have a strategic, thoughtful, systematic way to help people with whatever the cause was that led them to be homeless in the first place.
Yes.
I mean, I think this campaign's a lot more aggressive than campaigns we've had in the past. We've put up signs that talk about, please don't give money to panhandlers, give to service providers. You can look, I mean, they're up and down Main Street right now. This is a lot more graphic. This is a lot more in your face. This is a lot more direct, thanks to Love Communications and their thought process behind it. The Don't Help campaign, I think, is particularly poignant and telling. And again, we're telling people don't give money to panhandlers, help them more by providing funds to service providers. But we really want to get that message out there. I also think creating the connection between panhandling and drug trafficking is something we have not drawn that direct line before. We are doing that now. The violence that we're seeing, the crime that we're seeing, the challenges that we're seeing have a direct link to funds that are being given to panhandlers. We need to stop the tide of that money going to panhandlers to help create a safer community that has less crime in it.
Yes.
You know what we are learning, and Pamela may be able to answer this even, is the panhandlers who are doing this as a business, many of them don't live here. They come here because we are generous. We are a generous community. And what people need to understand is if we stop doing that, those panhandlers will go back to where they came from. And that's part of the goal as well, is that we want really to break up this population in a way that helps us identify who truly needs help and who is here running a business.
Can I add to that as well? I think that that's an important question. Does it get worse if we start to crack down on panhandling and other efforts? The short-term answer to that is yes. I think when we participated in our press conference and we saw that the DEA, through a multi-jurisdictional investigation, pulled $1.2 million of heroin off of the streets here in Salt Lake City, those people that sell those drugs are not happy about that. And they want there to be a recoil bad enough that we would all want to go back to the status quo. So there's going to be, I think, to get this right, there's going to be there's going to be some tough times as we start to roll out these different efforts to curb the lawlessness. And I think that what you're going to find is, for those that have become very comfortable and have profited mightily from what's happening inside the city, are going to do all they can to try and turn public support, or to try to push your politicians back to the status quo where there's not as adversarial of a situation going on. We need to be ready for that. We need to be prepared for that, because I think that that's going to happen. What we have to do as policymakers is make sure that we're just not pushing it to outlying jurisdictions or trying to make it someone else's problem, that we are on a multi-pronged attack addressing this issue to the point that the mayor makes, and that is that Utah does not become a magnet for, or you don't look for this state to be a place where people are, where lawlessness can occur unremarked or unenforced. And I think that on the long run, we will absolutely make progress, but I think there will be some initial pain as we move forward.
Yes.
I'll say that it's to the point I brought up before, where we had a smart statute that was passed last session that you can't transact in these intersections. We got sign off from the Civil Liberties ACLU, those that looked and make sure that we're protecting our people's civil liberties. I think we're smart people. We're a smart community. We can come up with ordinances that respect people's civil liberties, but do not let people manipulate those laws in a way that creates urban chaos or human carnage. And so we have to work together to get to those type of ordinances, Ben, or those laws. I think the bill that was passed this last session is an example of that. So we have to keep that in mind and make sure that we're following the law and protecting people's civil liberties. But I believe we can do it.
Can if I might, just to be perfectly clear about this campaign, though, this campaign is not related to any laws or ordinances or any recommended laws or ordinances. This is an education campaign. So people may have the right to panhandle. We also have the right to express our free speech and let people know how the funds that they give to a panhandler will likely be used. So this campaign is not advocating for any additional laws or ordinances at this time.
Your excellent question. Let me assure you that we give the same kind of offer to panhandlers once they appear, in terms of, can we help you? What are you panhandling for? Oh, utilities? Let's show you how we can help you with them. So we do, and the police host team do a wonderful job. And we have a list of questions. And when we see people there 2 or 3 times, we'll say, did you follow up? Is there anything else we can do? So we do offer them the same kind of help. But unfortunately, there are many people who think this is an easy way to make a living. But we're enabling them to make that easy living. And it's up to us to put a stop to it. Thank you.